I'm learning to live without you now. But I miss you sometimes. The more I know, the less I understand all the things I thought I knew. I'm learning again. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak. And my thoughts seem to scatter, but I think it's about forgiveness. Forgiveness, even if you don't love me anymore. So I was asked in the comments to do a video about the word forgiveness. And interestingly enough, this amazing song called The Heart of the Matter by Don Henley, who is part of the Eagles, and the song was also redone by India Ari, but Don Henley originated the song in 1989. It was written all about forgiveness, and it's been playing in my head for the past couple of days. So when I saw this comment asking me to do a video about forgiveness, I thought, wow, look at the synchronicity in that. And you know, forgiveness is a word that as a kid, you hear it tossed around like, please forgive me, you know, I'm sorry. And it's like forgiveness and I'm sorry are kind of linked together, right? They're kind of like all mishmashed together, and it's something that you say to just kind of like smooth over a certain situation. And it's something that I think as a kid you're taught is like a common word, a light thing to say. But as you get older, you learn that there's so much weight given to the word forgiveness. There is so much power in the word forgiveness. But even though as we grow up and as we get older, we're told things like, it's not a big deal, let that go, that happened so long ago, that was just when you were a kid, forget about it. And so we learn that in order to forgive, we just kind of like suppress it, right? We don't deal with our feelings. We don't deal with how something really affected us, and we kind of gloss it over. And that's been my experience. You know, as a child, I remember growing up, and you know, my family would have an argument, and then the next day it was like nothing happened. And so what I learned from that situation was that you just kind of brush things under the rug and you don't talk about them, and then they'll just go away. And you know what that's called? That's called suppression, right? And when you suppress your feelings by not talking about how you feel, over time, that suppression of your feelings turns into depression. And when you're depressed, what happens is you're replaying feelings, circumstances, situations, things that happened to you, right? Maybe years ago, maybe last week, that were out of your control, or that you may have said to someone else that you didn't mean, or that you did, that you're replaying this. And when I say it's out of your control, it's because it already happened. But what we learn is, instead of expressing our feelings, we learn to suppress. And then when we suppress, we get depressed, and we feel like we don't have power. We feel powerless. And forgiveness is awesome, because even though we're not really taught as children, as we grow up, what it means, there's so much power in this word. There's so much power in this word. So you know, I like to break things down. You know, that's one of my passions. So I looked up the etymology of the word forgiveness. And it's been in the English language since way before the 12th century. And the word comes from forgiven. And if we break that up, for, spelled F-O-R, like we are accustomed to, actually means completely. And the word gifan, spelled G-I-F-A-N, or G-I-E-F-E-N, means to give. So for means completely, and giffen means to give. So it's like to completely give, right? So it's like to get it out of your body and give it out into the universe. And I looked up the history of the definition of forgive, and originally it means to pardon, and it actually comes from the Latin word pardonare, right? And the German translation of pardonare was vergeben, spelled V-E-R-G-E-B-E-N, vergeben, right? And it was originally meant to say to pardon, to relieve someone of a debt. And so when you think about that, it's like when you forgive someone, you're relieving them of a debt, right? And that debt might be that you in your mind know that they owe you an apology. But when you forgive them, you're telling them that you are relieving them of the action of giving you an apology because you no longer need it. Forgiveness isn't about saying, oh, you know what? I forgive you. What you did was okay. You know, I'll let you off the hook. No. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting what happened. Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness, I'm going to say that again, honey. Forgiveness is for you. It's not about the other person anymore. When we harbor our feelings, right? When we hold on to our anger, when we hold on to our sadness, when we hold on to whatever it is that's holding us back, the only person that is affected by this is us. The other person, they're hee-hee-hawing, they're living their life, they've moved on. But when we harbor things and we hold on to things and we hold grudges, they literally sit inside of our bodies and eat us up inside. You know? So when you forgive, you release. You allow yourself to have the space to create your own new reality, right? Because the thing is, when we forgive, we create a new story. A lot of the times when we're angry about something, or when someone has really hurt us, right? Or when something really dramatic has happened to us, we recoil into ourselves and we live in fear. We live in anger. And anger and fear are connected. It's just different ways to react to the same thing. And we recoil, and to protect ourselves, we hold on to that as the truth. And when we hold on to that as the truth, we let it dictate the rest of our lives. And I'm going to give you an example from my personal life. So, as many of you know, I did a series of speeches, 30 speeches in 30 days. And one of the speeches, I talked about my traumatic experience with my father. And for a long time, I let that childhood trauma replay in my mind, right? Replay and replay and replay. And I let it hold me back from a lot of things. I let it hold me back, honestly, from being intimate with people. You know, I would let people get close, but not too close. Because I had a story in my mind of all the trauma that had happened to me in my past. And that trauma was what I was holding on to. And because I was holding on to that trauma, I couldn't let go of it to create a new reality for myself. I'll say that again. Because I was holding on to trauma, I was creating constantly that story as my reality. And because I wasn't willing to relieve myself of that, to forgive, that trauma became my consistent story. And I didn't leave any room to create space for a new story. And that's what we do, right? So many of us go through life and we don't even realize that because of something that happened when we might have been, I don't know, 5 years old, 12 years old, or because of an argument that we may have had 2 years ago, or because of a friendship we may have lost 5 years ago, because of a parent we may have lost a year ago. We let those things dictate our story. We let those things hover inside of us and become our reality. And while it's okay to feel the feelings that we feel, because, I mean, that's our reality, right? That's how our feelings feel. We need to have an outlet. And forgiveness is an outlet, right? Forgiveness is an outlet. For me, it took I just want to say forgiveness is a journey, first of all, right? It's not, I'm not saying like, okay, yeah, like overnight, we're going to forgive everything and everything is just going to be fine. No, that's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is a deep, 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 honey, deep internal journey. Okay? It's something that takes time. Because first, what you have to do is you have to come to the realization that someone, something, some situation is hurting you. And a lot of us, we don't want to admit that. We don't want to talk about a situation that's hurting us. We want to have fun and we want to live life and we want to be free, right? But in order to be free, we have to go deep down within so that we can release all of the things that are holding us down. Because those things that are holding us down are our blockages. So what I had to do is I had to really sit with myself. A lot of times we don't like to spend time alone with ourselves. You know what I mean? And now with technology, we don't really have to, because we have phones and we have computers, we have everything that we can, which is wonderful. We can connect with people all the time, but we don't spend time connecting with ourselves. So when we don't spend time connecting with ourselves, we can't really connect to our truths. You know what I mean? And what I had to do, I'm an avid, voracious journal writer. You know, for those of you who have met me in person, you know I love to journal write. And I had to sit with a lot of what was going on with myself. Why was I so closed off? Why was I so scared? Why was I so fearful? And I remember one moment I was sitting on the couch and it came to me that I had a traumatic experience in my childhood. Was it painful to relive that experience? Yeah, of course it was. When you have sexual trauma in your life from somebody that you trust, it's very hard to admit that to yourself. But I had to. And I remember the first time I admitted it to myself, I cried, but it felt good to cry because it was for the first time. All of that anger, all of that fear was rising up and coming out. And for the first time, I could speak about it, I could vocalize it, I could talk about it. And sometimes we think, people don't want to hear my story, people don't want to know what happened to me. Yes, people do. It makes you human. It makes you relatable. It makes it something that other people can connect to you about. And so I started speaking about it in my blog and videos. And like today, I started writing about it. And I was allowing myself to come to terms with it. And once I myself came to terms with it, right, I was able to forgive my father. Now, when I say forgive, remember, forgiveness is not about saying to the person, what you did is okay. No. And it's not about telling yourself, forget about it. It happened so long ago. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is a release, right? Where you are completely giving. You're completely giving yourself to the concept of letting go. And I say let go because when you let go, you clear space to allow. And when you clear space to allow, wow, opportunities are endless. And what you're able to do, the new path, the new story that you're able to create, your new reality. Well, you have so much space to create it. There's not all this stuff all over the place getting in the way, blocking you from creating your own reality. There's not these old stories of your past anymore that are blocking your ability to live your life in the present. When we don't forgive, we're not able to live our life in the present. We're living our life in the past in an old story. We're living our life in the past in an old story. So, what I want to encourage you to do today is take some time to sit with yourself. Take some time to ask yourself, how am I holding myself back? What are the things that are harboring within me that are blocking my ability to fully live in the present? All of those questions matter. Now, are those questions easy? No, definitely not. They're not easy. But are they essential to be able to forgive? Yes. Remember, the meaning, the breakdown of forgiveness, the original meaning for is completely. Gifan is to give. If you give completely to letting go, and you say, you know what, this situation isn't going to be my story anymore, you will enable yourself to step into your power. So I encourage you today, spend time with yourself, even if it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and ask yourself, what are my blockages? How am I holding myself back? What stories am I holding on to that aren't allowing me to live in my present? And you will find that you have things that you may need to deal with. You will have people that you may need to deal with. But it's going to be, yes, challenging. Because, again, it can be painful sometimes. I get it. And, I want to put this out here too. I never talked to my father on the phone and said, hey, I want you to know I forgive you. No. I forgave him for myself. For myself. Because honestly, that's all that matters. That you forgive people. And there are many ways to do it. Some of us, we write on a piece of paper what you want, the thing that's bothering you, and you can burn it, do it in a safe way, do it over the sink or something like that, or you can write it down on a piece of paper and rip it up and release it. Whatever techniques work for you, even if you meditate and you create the situation in your mind where you see yourself speaking to that person and releasing that person or that pain from your life, that is a form of forgiveness. forgiveness. Now, if you'd like to speak to the person face to face, that can happen too. Do what is comfortable for you. But remember, stand outside of your comfort zone. When I say do what's comfortable for you, I mean do what works for you, and you will know, and you will feel in your heart there's this air of release when you forgive. You'll know. Because the way that it felt, that knot in your stomach that you used to feel, or in your heart or in your chest, that tightness that you used to feel won't be there anymore. Does that mean you'll forget about the situation? No. But you won't have that grip on it anymore because you released it. You can forgive because you can create the life that you want. It all starts with you. Spending time with yourself, reflecting, speaking about it, writing about it, and then allowing yourself to release. But use your throat chakra, vocalize it. It's important. It's important. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you got some gems and some jewels from this conversation. I'm going to read your comments and, continue to leave me comments. Let me know how this affected you. Let me know what kinds of things came up as you were watching this. If you haven't watched the video from the beginning, I encourage you to go back and watch it from the beginning because there are a lot of good messages. And this is my third day of my challenge for myself. My birthday's in a month, and I wanted to set myself towards a new goal of trying to, create as many live videos as I can daily until my birthday, until my 31st birthday. So I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support. And you are the only one who is in control of your life. Remember that always. And I love you all. Have a beautiful, amazing, positive, good vibe-filled day. Take care. Bye.